I just want to encourage any moms out there going through this that this is a completely normal stage of regression. It's not anything you're doing wrong. It is normal for babies to have a little sleep disruption during this age. Just continue doing the best that you can do. And please make sure you're taking care of yourself and that you're reaching out for help, because you have to be the best version of yourself in order to take care of those around you. And if you're not going to be able to provide for anybody, let alone yourself. I felt like as a mom, this is like something that I should be able to deal with, right? Like, I wanted nothing more leading up to getting pregnant than to be a mom. Like, I was so excited to start my family. So for me to like, I think even acknowledge like, okay, I'm struggling and I need support, felt like, well, I shouldn't be feeling that way because this is what I wanted, right? Like, I wanted to be a mom. So why am I struggling? I wish that I would have reached out and gotten support from somebody. So I think part of me felt like shame and guilt for that. I just felt like nobody could relate to what I went through. And when I would reach out and talk to some people, I never dealt with that. I can't even imagine what it's like going through something like that. I think that's where part of the guilt came in, because it's affecting my mental health. Like, why am I having that? But you didn't have that. Like, something wrong with me. Like, that's how I felt. Like, something wrong with me as a mom, something wrong with me as a person. Like, I just felt like really guilty, and I think shame came with that. I didn't really want to talk about it with people. To start my routine, I do this natural brow pencil. So this is actually from Amazon. I love this. It has these three prongs on this side and then one pen on this side. I use the three prongs on the front of my brows. I didn't really know what a sleep regression entailed. I think honestly we were dealing with like a whole storm of things happening at one time. It wasn't just the sleep regression, but it's really normal for babies to struggle around that 4 to 5 month mark because their brain development is changing immensely. And so they are getting so much brain activity and their sleep cycles are lengthening. So there's a lot of changes in their brain going on, and that's why they get the what we see as a regression, but technically in like medical world, they are not regressing at all. They're actually changing and developing and growing a lot in that season. I'm gonna do this Tier Milk Skin Toner. This is my new holy grail skincare products. I absolutely love this brand, and it's gonna be a staple in my routine. Typically, I don't rub the bottle on like this, but for some reason, I decided to put my face moisturizer on my fingers, and now I only have one hand to operate with. During that time, we also were dealing with acid reflux. Because of the acid reflux, which now I understand that the reflux is caused from caffeine intake that I was having. So I was pretty much exclusively breastfeeding up to this point. I was having some bottles because my baby was born 3 months early. So we had to do some formula bottles just to make sure he was getting enough calories. The caffeine intake I was taking because I was so tired trying to get like the caffeine stimulation in my body was then making his acid reflux worse. And then he basically would just like refuse to eat. So then we were pretty much just like we pretty much went to strictly bottles at that point because he was not tolerating it, which then was really confusing because he was getting so much more formula than he was used to, which I think who knows if that was affecting his stomach at all. I think he was also getting his first teeth in during that time. So we were dealing with teething, which I did not know at that time. I'm going to use this bubble plus one. He's not getting enough to eat, so like a hungry baby isn't going to sleep well. And we literally were dealing with all of these things layered and sandwiched on top of each other, which I feel like makes it like more stressful because it's like you can't really pinpoint exactly what you need to change. Ari was not sleeping through the nights. He was taking like 30-minute naps during the day, which was really hard for me to do anything. I couldn't get anything done around the house. It was hard for me to cook, let alone for me to sleep. I was getting woken up every hour to 2 hours because Ari was waking up and I would have to settle him and put him back to sleep. Then I was having to wake up every 3 hours so that I could pump, and I was up for an hour during those times. And then during the day, I couldn't even take naps because he was only taking 30-minute naps. So it's like I literally could not sleep. And because I was taking caffeine, I was getting insomnia at night, which was hard for me to sleep anyways. So it was like it was so hard. I used the NYX lingerie, I guess. XXL. This is a liquid lipstick, but I use it for blush on my face. That way it's a more cohesive look. And then I do just go and lightly put on, can you sweat on my upper lip? Okay. And just do a little bit on the lips. It was just like, I could not catch a break. On the weekdays, I had the night shifts with my son because my husband works full time and I stay at home. And my husband would take the weekend shifts. But Ari had trouble soothing with my husband. I think it was like a scent thing, and he had associated the milk with me because he was breastfeeding. What would be like my time to try to sleep in a full night's sleep on the weekends became me hearing Ari crying all night. And basically, like my husband, once he woke up, he really couldn't fall back asleep. And so he would pull all nighters basically all weekend. And I felt really guilty that he was not sleeping. And then hearing Ari crying, distressing to me, like I could not fall asleep knowing that he was crying. Like I felt like if I just went in there, I could help. Which looking back now, I wish that I would have just taken the time to take care of myself and get the sleep that I needed, because I couldn't be taking care of everybody if I wasn't taking care of myself. I basically was sleeping like 3 hours in a 24-hour period, and this went on for weeks. I want to say, I feel like it was happening for at least 3.5 weeks at this point. My son just woke up from his nap, so I'm going to grab him really quick. It was like literally just a storm of all of this happening at the same time. And so, I mean, sleep deprivation catches up to you very quickly. I mean, even after a few days, you feel it. So, let alone going 3.5 to 4 weeks with little to no sleep consistently was so hard. I just used the L'Oreal True Match for the concealer around my eyes. I spot conceal. I don't like doing foundation. It's like you just have to literally take the days moment by moment. It's not even day by day, it's literally second by second. And as the weeks went on and this kept continuing, I could just feel my mental health shifting and just like losing motivation, losing like happiness. I basically was just an autopilot getting through the day. I just remember waking up and feeling like a literal zombie, and I would come out of the room like a bear that was in hibernation for 17 years. And that's not how I want to show up in motherhood. That is not how I wanted to, for my children to see me wake up and my husband to see me wake up every single day. So I just felt that for me and knew that I was not my best version of myself. I just didn't want it to keep escalating to a point where it was not okay. He would cry for hours on end. Literally, it would be sometimes 3 hours long of him screaming at the top of his lungs, and nothing would soothe him. Literally nothing would soothe him. I would pacify him, I would rock him, I would try to feed him, which he would refuse. And I knew he was hungry, but he would not eat. And then I would try to sing to him. I would try to rock him, hold him. Okay, maybe he needs a little bit of time to himself. I'm going to lay him in his bassinet and see if he'll fall asleep, which lasted a whole 30 seconds before I picked him up again because I could not just leave him laying there by himself while he was so upset. It was like I felt so out of control and like I had no tools or any idea of even what to do. Like, I remember in those moments, it was so overwhelming that I would just cry. Like, Ari would be screaming and, what are you doing, Bubba? Ari would be screaming and I would literally just be sobbing as I'm like holding him and rocking him because I didn't know what to do. This is my complete finished, basically everyday makeup. It's very minimal and simple. I don't do a lot. I'm actually going to move to the kitchen so I can start cooking lunch. So what ended up happening is 3.5, 4 weeks had gone by at this point. This one night I was laying in bed. I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I had not slept 1 minute. I was so desperate. So I Googled up sleep coaches and I follow this account on Facebook. Her name is the Mama Coach. Was trying to get information to hire her as a sleep coach because she does sleep training. I had reached out to our pediatrician, I think like a month prior, and was asking her about sleep training, and she said that it was way too early, which I wish that I kind of wouldn't have listened to her because I put off trying to get him in good sleep habits and routines, which I believe is a part of sleep training. Like, sleep training isn't just cry it out. When my husband woke up, I basically broke down to him and was like, I cannot spend one more night with no sleep. I have to sleep at this point. I was literally sobbing. I couldn't even speak because I was crying so hard. I need intervention. I need somebody right now to come in and help with where we're at. I will pay whatever I have to pay to get help. But at this point, like, my mental capacity to like research or find information and try to like implement it on my own was pretty much zero. Like, I was in full survival mode, just trying to get through every day. There are tons of online things that you can find and just basically pay for a PDF, but I wanted something that was like tailored. I wanted to be able to specifically speak to somebody throughout this. So if I had questions, I could ask instead of just like reading this generic PDF and then like, okay, what if that doesn't work? Then what do I do? So I wanted it to actually like work one-on-one with somebody that could help me through this season. We did the call with the sleep coach and basically agreed that she would come in. So like 2 days later, I think she came in, did a home assessment, looked at our sleep environment, which was fine, and then just questioned us on like our routine. What do we do for bed? When Ari cries, how do we soothe him? Like, what do we do for him? Once we started implementing the plan, we had basically 2 weeks to ask any questions that we wanted. I had a lot of anxiety with the sleep training at first because my husband works during the week. I wanted to give Ari the opportunity to soothe. So I did this multiple times, and I know, Lovey, are you hungry? After about 2 weeks of all of this, it did get significantly better. Ari was learning. It was just really amazing because this was actually working and I was seeing progress, which was like the best thing ever. And then he was sleeping better overnight, and it was just really felt like such a weight and relief off my shoulders. I highly recommend a sleep coach if you feel like you're to that point. I just really wanted to share our journey and share our story because I feel like no one talks about it. I never felt like I could relate to what they were going through because it was just didn't feel like it was the same as what I had experienced. Be honest with yourself and seek help. You cannot provide if you're not providing for yourself. So sleep is really, really important. Taking care of yourself, getting the support and help that you need. Also, if you are someone that hasn't gone through this, but have a new mom friend, then I just really encourage you to reach out and check on them. Sometimes I think asking what someone needs when they're going through something really hard is almost more overwhelming because sometimes we don't know what we need, right? We just need something. So just make a meal, take it over there, get their favorite coffee and take it over there. Just be a love and support for a friend. It's so crazy what we can learn. Hindsight is always 2020, right? We learn so much and grow so much. And I feel like dealing with what we went through in that first season, I learned so much about Ari. I learned so much about myself, so much about like being a mom for the first time. And now I can take those things moving forward with me and be a better version of myself. I can understand Ari's needs more. And that's all we can do as humans, right? We can only learn from our experiences and take what we learn and try to implement that into the future. I'm sending all of my love to you, and I really appreciate you being here watching this video. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.